Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor at WeissGroup.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks, as always.
The markets, after a dreadful week a week ago, are they coming back?
Well, I am not actually that positive on it. I did some position trimming. We took some gains, took a couple losses, but nothing big. We actually took a lot more gains. And I'm not adding new positions in the broad sectors right now. I am adding things in things like gold and cannabis and uranium, but that's not the things that are moving the indices right now. I think we could see lower prices in the indices, even though you and I are talking on a day when the broad market, as measured by the Dow and the S&P 500, is up 1.8%. I think that that really might only be shorter term, and we could see another leg down.
Yes, red letters there. Dow up 400 points. The S&P gaining 2%. 27 out of 30 major stocks on the Dow up. Is this what they call a sucker bounce?
Well, it might be. We don't really know. I mean, I wouldn't be heavily short either, but if you want to put on one or two positions to hedge, then you'd be doing exactly what I'm doing. But I do work with people who say, this is it, this is the top. It's very, very hard to pick tops and bottoms. The best place to do that is on Miami Beach, because really in the market, you can only see them in the rearview mirror. I think this is a time for caution. That's the way I would play it, at least in the stocks that drive the major indices. When we talk about gold later, we'll talk about how positive I am and how I think we've seen a bottom there, and that is playable well as well.
Any particular sectors on the major markets that you think are okay?
Well, not especially. I can tell you that I sold out all of my tech stocks, and I think we could see more damage there. I mean, financials look terrible despite all the headline news. So I guess you might want to move into energy, assuming that we'll have some kind of apocalypse between us and Saudi Arabia. Maybe those might work out. But again, that's kind of a iffy situation. I'm only buying energy stocks that pay nice dividends right now.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the pink symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, the day before pot becomes legal recreationally in Canada, marijuana stocks are down. Is that a reaction to the fact that so many provinces don't even have stores ready to sell it?
Maybe. It could also be technically driven, because the day before, shall we call it the penultimate day of the current regime, we actually saw marijuana stocks head high. And this morning, the day before, most marijuana stocks opened up higher, but they got smashed down. That looked like a deliberate attempt to smash down marijuana stocks, maybe to keep from options from becoming in the money, but I actually think it's a heavy hand in the market, and I'm not that worried about it. I hope they pull back a bit more, and I will buy more. We've done very well in the marijuana stocks so far. You just have to learn to, not buy them after they've been going up for 3 or 4 days. You can actually do okay. And there's still plenty of money to be made in this. I think one thing people are underestimating right now, by the way, is the medical marijuana side. Everyone's been focused on recreational legalization. Look at the medical marijuana stocks, because there are certain types of marijuana that have to be made medically. People need certain doses, they need certain types, stuff like that. And that's a place where the margins can get pretty fat. And so that's what I would be looking at.
Does it look like the Trump government is going to ease up the rules on medical marijuana?
Well, it does, or at least that's a rumor we're hearing out of people in Washington right now. And if that rumor comes true, if after the elections, the Trump administration moves forward with some kind of legalization, I'd say legalization of medical marijuana, maybe easing the rules on like banking. I'm not sure exactly what they'll do, but if they do start to ease things up, that could be the next tailwind for marijuana stocks. Now, it might only be for U.S. marijuana stocks, which aren't as high-flying as our friends up in Canada. But, I mean, there is some opportunity there. That's the way I would play it.
What about all the beverage companies that are looking at the fact that Canada will allow legal beverages and edibles with pot in about a year?
Yeah, well, the way to play that is to buy the companies they might buy, right? That's why we've seen these insane moves in some companies that might maybe someday roll out, some kind of marijuana beverage. There are still others out there that haven't been noticed much by the market. Those are the ones that I'm just kind of, picking up a few shares here and there every time they dip, because those are the ones that I want to own. I do think edibles are, that's an opportunity in Canada simply because it isn't legal now. It probably will be legal a year from now, but keep in mind, they botched this rollout of recreational marijuana so badly, they're going to botch the rollout of the edibles and the drinkables too. I mean, because they can't seem to do it right, because they fear it so much. They can't just say, okay, here's what you do, go ahead. They can't treat it like alcohol. They're so freaking scared of this, it's ridiculous. And yet, this is what we have to deal with.
Well, it seems to me life went on as usual the day after it was legalized in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Colorado. Why do you think Canadians are so panicked about it and haven't been organized?
You're giving California too much credit. In fact, I was reading a great story about how badly things have gone there. And this is because they are tying up cannabis capitalism with all sorts of red tape, not only on the regulation side, but on the taxation side. What this has been doing, they're making it so hard for people to run a legal marijuana business. It makes a big incentive for people to run an illegal marijuana business because, the stigma's been lifted and stuff like that. So, the illegal marijuana business in California is thriving. They aren't getting nearly the tax revenues they thought they were going to because they set the tax rates too high. So, believe me, it's not just the Canadian government. Any government can mess this up. We have seen it done correctly in Colorado. We have seen it done correctly in Nevada. Those are the only two that I've actually studied. But really, when you look at those two states, what they had in common is less is more approach. They do put regulations on there, but they aren't trying to wrap people up in red tape. That's an important thing, I think.
And Nevada, of course, with legal gambling and prostitution before legal pot, it seems that they had a pretty good handle on how to deal with so-called vices. Yeah, and this is an important thing. Prostitution isn't legal everywhere in Nevada. They really leave it up to the localities, and you're seeing the same kind of thing with marijuana. And I think that's really an approach you have to take. If people are uncomfortable with it, don't drag them kicking and screaming into allowing, a pot shop on Main Street. Just say, okay, you don't have to. Your neighbors can sell it, and they'll make the money. That's fine. So I really think that there has to be an appreciation of how
locals feel about it, while at the same time just putting a bare regulatory framework in the background to actually, deal with this as it comes up.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, too, that the government says we want to keep pot out of the hands of kids. That's why we're legalizing it and regulating it. But if you don't have the stores to roll it out legally, it's probably easier to find pot if you go to the local high school and ask the kids where to get it.
Well, there has always been a bull market in hypocrisy in America. And this doesn't change that one single bit. And there's also been a bull market in just believing what you want and not the facts. Boy, have we got a bull market in that.
Yeah, it's called bull something.
Yeah, bull something. So, I expect that if they follow the example of, say, Colorado and Nevada and some other places that are doing it the right way, they can do well. But we could still see things go the other way. Nothing is certain in this. We've seen, liberalizations before that did not work out in the end. And so, things could go terribly wrong if, say, some populist wraps themselves in the anti-marijuana flag. However, from the statements on the campaign trail, President Trump is fine with states handling it their own way. He just needs to, open up the regulations on a federal level so that these companies that are on the state level can actually do banking and that kind of thing. That would be a huge step. I think that would be a real tailwind for the cannabis industry in the U.S.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead zinc silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan district of northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what's happening in the uranium space right now?
Well, right now we are seeing the spot price of uranium break out. It actually looks very good. Now, we aren't seeing this broadly in the uranium stocks. Some are going up, some aren't. I think that's because some have had pretty good runs already, and they're still digesting those gains. So that means that, if you look at the underlying trend in the metal, then you can actually think about, what do I want to own if this continues to go higher, which seems to be the case. One more thing that happened over the weekend is the big Kazakhstan company, their national company, is now going to list about 25% of the company in London, I think. And so that's a huge thing because that's a huge source of uranium. And I actually think it's going to be interesting once they start to have insight and oversight into what that company does. I hear from people in the industry that national company does operate at a loss. They will, and they'll just make it up on volume. It's actually not working for them that way, but for their particular metrics, that's fine. Once they actually have to answer to shareholders, it'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
If the stock markets are just having a so-called sucker bounce, does that mean precious metals are going to go up?
I think so, because that's what we saw last week, is that we saw that as people got scared, they ran to the safe harbor, the eternal safe harbor, which is gold. And so that was good for gold. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the bottom. I actually ran a poll on my Twitter page, and most people that responded thought that was the bottom. And so maybe they're right. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I don't feel strongly about this either way. All I want is my portfolios to go up. So I don't have any big investment in the S&P 500 going one way or the other because I don't actually happen to own that. And so, we've seen this market inflated by all sorts of forces over the years, whether it's the Fed, whether it's being pumped up by the government, maybe it's new rules that are bringing back cash from overseas, you name it. There's all sorts of things, so it's actually hard to get a grasp on what the fundamentals of this market really are. There have been people calling for a top for a long time. Maybe they're right. And certainly from the action we saw last week, it can happen very suddenly. So, just be prepared for it when it does. And now, if you have a super long-term view and you don't care about what happens this year or next year, then, you can just hold it and just go away and maybe collect your dividends because that's probably what you're in. But this market is very hard to predict right now. Uncertainty tends to make gold look more attractive.
Adding to that uncertainty, the controversy surrounding the disappearance of journalists Jamal Khashoggi, Saudi Arabia threatening countries, if you make too big a deal about it, we might cut off your oil. Is this making the oil patch look more attractive or just more speculative?
It's more speculative at like this point. I mean, because the leader of Saudi Arabia, who he's by the way, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and he went on a PR offensive for a while, and everybody loved him. He's going to be the great modernizer. He's letting women drive, blah, blah, blah. But now, those people that don't have huge investments in Saudi Arabia are now calling him, Kim Jong-un with an investment fund. He really does crack down hard. Heck, he's the guy who, kidnapped the Prime Minister of Lebanon. But the U.S. didn't say anything about it. Now, a lot depends on how strong a line the U.S. takes with him, how strong a line the U.S. feels it can take with him. I mean, we kind of need them, they kind of need us, so if you want to get anything done in the Middle East, you kind of need Saudi Arabia, right? Because they're like one of the big two powers there, the other one being Iran, and I don't see the U.S. aligning itself with Iran anytime soon. So, I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but it does add uncertainty to the oil market because the Saudis could turn on the taps or they could shut off the taps or God knows at this point what's going to happen there. But because of that uncertainty, there are things in the oil space that I think look attractive. I've moved my subscribers into them. And, but I do like dividends. I can tell you that. You can find some nice dividends in the oil space. And when you have a market sell-off, that's when you want to buy those because that's when the dividends really go on sale, right? So keep that in mind going forward.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks. I always have a great time.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor for WeissGroup.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.